Okay, so my name's Graham Hooper from Tri Coaching Partnership. This is Chris Bensted from Better Driver Trainers. Hiya, Chris. How you doing?
Hello, Graham. Yeah, all good.
Good.
All good.
Okay. Just tell me about yourself. Let's just kick this interview off. Just tell me a bit about yourself.
Sure. So, driving instructor for 12 years now. I've got my audit badge. I've done plenty of training with, PDI, standards check, stuff as well. And, up till now, been out in the car with everything going. That world that you know very well is not about just teaching learners and trying to convince people of that. So trying to do all of that. And I've been really lucky, and I always say luck comes from hard work, and I know you'll appreciate that one as well. But I really early on started the first Facebook group for driving instructors.
Yeah.
So I think I had a pink badge at the time. I was very, very, very green if I wasn't pink. And I thought I knew everything, and I learned a lot. But what I realised about driving instructing and the world that we're in, people didn't really interact in that way. It was just at the test centres. It was, it was changing, and the world was changing, but driving instructors were still not quite there yet with the let's talk to each other and let's work together stuff. In the wider community. Yeah. I rapidly discovered there were sort of small niches where, with associations and things, there still were people working together, but the wider community wasn't. So Facebook, sort of really took off. And because of that, I got to meet some awesome people. I was there on the day that Carly took over the DIA, and that opened up some real opportunities for me, and that was through Facebook. Louise Walsh before she was Louise Walsh, and before the BLR existed, and it meant I had the privilege of being there for the BLR as well. The day that she was sat on her sofa, talking to us on Facebook, saying, we've got to be able to do something, and I like to think that those seeds that were planted by opening the first group and doing that have really helped to bring communities together, and other Facebook groups have started from it. Some love us, some hate us. Yeah, but
well, you got the nickname, didn't you? I mean, of the dark side. Yeah. So before I ask you about that, I absolutely agree with sowing seeds. Sowing seeds is so important because it takes time to germinate ideas and then for those ideas to become action. And it's really good to watch other people come up with those ideas and then see them grow within our industry. And the Big Learner Relay, what a success that's been. But before I go anywhere else, let's sort out the dark side. Yeah.
I claim credit. It was Pete Hope and us, and he started up the funny side, which has had lots of different people running it and different sort of faces behind it and things. But he started up because there was a real want for instructor humour, and for us to be able to let our hair down, not yourself, but instructor humour, and it was really important that there was a niche for that, but also everything else was getting lost amongst it. So he started up the funny side. So we referred to them as the rebel forces. Yeah. And he referred to us as the dark side. So we were in on the joke. And it now gets used as this insult that people say it to me and wait for a response. And I'm like, well, the admin called it the dark side anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I always knew the joke. Yeah. And I always thought, it works. It's a good bit of banter. It's a good bit of fun. But we know that, the thing about social media is no one ever gets the full story anymore. And so, the truth is out there. Even when they've got the full story, you still get false information. So it's Chinese whispers at its best. I mean, sorry, go on.
I was going to say it's a real mixed blessing. And I normally, when I meet a new group of ADIs, the first thing I do is apologise. And you know, I think there's a lot of issues with Facebook, but I also then point out I didn't create Facebook. I just opened a group.
Yeah.
And as with all these things, and with the industry on a whole, a group is only as strong or weak as those people that interact with it. So you know, we just try to encourage that. But I've learnt diplomacy, which my mum would be giggling at that thought.
Yeah.
But I've learnt how to word things really well. And as someone who, from a school background, really struggled to get the words on the page, and I'm now doing homeschooling with my 9-year-old.
Okay.
With a lot of help from my other half. I'll just, you know, I won't claim all credit, but he's having the same issues of getting stuff down, that focus. And I think there's a real trait inside of ADIs for having had that kind of background of, you know, struggled with that academic side of things.
I really got to agree with you. I mean, I got asked to leave school, Chris. Yeah. You know, I didn't gain any qualifications really. And I'm not sure. Well, I'm 61 on Monday. Just thought I'd get that out there for everyone to know. I'm 61 on
Happy
Monday.
birthday for Monday.
Yeah, thank you. But I didn't really start doing anything until I got into my 40s. I mean, I had education from work, but I didn't educate myself. It was always forced upon me. But I did read books, and that helped me. And I think it's something that I've found frustrating within this industry is that, you know, we've come into a group, allegedly, we're all educators, and then we reject education because most of us had a really shit time at it. You know, I don't know whether you would agree with me or not on that.
Yes, and I think there's huge percentages of instructors that are probably undiagnosed dyslexics. A lot are diagnosed, and on the autistic spectrum, and you know, the people that didn't fit into that educational mainstream, but have discovered a real skill and ability that they're making work, and at the time we're in at the moment, are the future of the country. You know, self-employed individuals, motivated individuals that don't want to be sat on our backside. And there's real skills in there. But unfortunately, education didn't work. And I rediscovered education when I was a sales rep. And they sent me on a training course. And I went, brilliant. I love this. Give me more. And went from that to putting a pin in a book and finding hypnosis by random, and that changed my life. And from then on, you know, I'm like a sponge. I just want information, and I want to know as much as I can because I'm enjoying learning. Never did at school. Never did at all.
See, I know that you've got, and I'll come to the question. I know you've got an interest in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. And a love for psychology.
For sure.
But what I want to say is that if you actually want to learn about people, learn about selling, because selling will teach you about people. It's hugely educational. And I know salespeople get slaughtered, but actually they're really clever people about how to work with people and read people and understand them. Because actually we all want to buy, we just put objections up, you know, how to overcome those objections. What a skill that is. So tell me about how you got into NLP.
I went, so sales training, as you said, it is a set of skills that, and that's where NLP came from, was looking at how people do things well, how we can motivate people. Some others would say manipulate people into change of view, change of perception. And I went on that sales course and I discovered a natural understanding. And I think it came from, you know, possibly you know, somewhere in the realms of the autistic spectrum, I don't know, but that real difficulty of understanding individuals. I don't get people naturally.
Yeah.
I've learnt to get people.
Okay.
And that hard work has, they touched a button that just went, do you know, I can do this because I can see what you want, because I've learnt to see what you want. And it was brilliant. And I at that point, unfortunately, credit crunch hit. You know, last one in, first one out.
Yeah.
And I didn't blame them for it at all. It was an awful time. But I'd just before that put a pin in a list of courses and come up with hypnosis.
Okay.
And I just thought it's going to be interesting. And I think it was me wanting that psychological side of things, but thinking psychology is academic. And I've been told for a long time I'm not academic. So I went and did that, and I discovered spirituality, which is a phrase I never thought I would hear coming from me. You know, anything mainstream I rejected. You know, I've never got on well with those conversations, and I really did discover a spiritual side of me that just put me at peace with what I think. And that sounds, you know, me hearing it, I laugh. But through that, I met some amazing people that I would have never met before. And a lot of those said, have a look at NLP. Yeah. You can sit and talk about the word "we" for a day and still not come up with an answer, but some really good ideas. And it was delivered to me to start with as just a model, and it wasn't what it had been in the 80s and, you know, early 90s of being this, you know, slick, greasy approach to things that it really got a bad rep. It was a model of looking at the world to get better results.
Yeah.
I just found it worked. So when I came into driving instructing, I was already in that frame, and therefore you can imagine what training was like. You know, yes. say this, get the result. I was cringing. Yeah. And I felt when I went into it, I felt I was doing it wrongly. And I always describe myself as a conversational instructor. So, you know, I think it was just before yourselves and, you know, and coaching and everything really hit the scene, CCL hit the scene. And I felt I was doing it wrong. And then mutual friend of ours, Lynn Webb, I met Lynn Webb. This is how long ago? I met Lynn Webb on Twitter. Okay. Now, you know, no one would hang about on Twitter nowadays, but we had a Twitter community. And I met Lynn on there. We chatted about things. I bumped into her at the time. We went from, you know, from there to talking about things. And sorry, my Wi-Fi looks to have dropped.
Yeah, mine just dropped. I think it's probably the weather, Chris. It sometimes has an effect on it. But yeah, mine just dropped. It will probably it'll come back. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's starting to rain. Long as you got me, it's fine. So yeah, I sort of started challenging things, looking at what I could bring in from elsewhere. Met some great people, had some great opportunities, and I sat down initially with Paul Forgan, and then I met up with Ian Brett through Mark Ford's I can't think what it's called.
Yeah,
the conference that Mark Ford put on.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and at that point, Ian and I teamed up to move things forwards and create better driver training, better ADIs, and we put together the NLP course for driving instructors that was not an NLP course. It was a set of skills, tools for the toolbox, as we all love, and it was things that we were using in the cars that they worked. So why would we not share?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I got labelled with the NLP title, which I happily embraced because I love the approach.
Yeah.
It's not everything I do, but it's definitely a core value. So I take a lot from it.
Okay. So let's just fast forward. You've become an ADI. We won't mention who you did your training with, because I don't like to basically slag off other people. It's not good practice. So because you just saying my training was, I didn't enjoy my training was the same. Tell them this, tell them that, and I just like couldn't work for me. So,
at the time, that was what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's moved on a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with the whole concept, and I ended up having to do things my way because I couldn't get my head around somebody else's way. But you become an ADI. Did you franchise first of all? What did you do?
Yeah, I did the national franchise for a year, and I learned a lot going through that. My first lesson, they couldn't provide pupils in my immediate area. So for anyone who knows it, I was in Sevenoaks, and they said come to Tunbridge Wells, 20 minutes down the road, half hour down the road, because we've got a better covering of pupils down there. So my first lesson, she was giving me directions at the end of the road as to where to go, because I knew it in daylight, vaguely, not in the way that I realised I would need to. It was dark. I'd never discovered teaching manoeuvres in the dark before that, and suddenly went, this is different, isn't it? And realised that the real world wasn't quite the same. But in a way, there was there was coaching coming in, because we were working together. She didn't even realise there was anything odd about that.
No.
Nice questioning to go, oh, where does the end of this road go? And then, okay, we'll go left.
Yeah.
And that's where the sales training comes in as well.
Because that's really good.
Keep peddling.
Well, because that's something I would advocate anyway. Ask them to choose where they want to go. If as long as you can manage the risk, I'd just say, look, end of the road, where do you want to go? What do you mean? Don't tell me. Well, let's make a decision. It's a small decision, but driving's decision making. We can make one. So yeah, that's brilliant. What a way to start. Yeah. So let's fast forward to
fire.
So you obviously, you create, I presume, Chris Bensted's driving school or something along those lines.
Yeah, CB's driving school.
Yeah. You've already said you met Ian Brett. Tell me about a little bit about your involvement with the Big Learner Relay, because I'm quite happy to give that a plug, if we possibly can.
Yes. Yeah. Before she was Louise Walsh, Louise had joined the dark side, and I remember getting the message, Children in Need Night, saying, we're sat here thinking we must be able to do something. 40,000, whatever it was then, instructors. Yeah. There's got to be some kind of way that we can deliver, but we can also unite. And I, like most people, thought, stupid woman. That idea is never going to work. And I still do. I think she's mad. But yeah. It snowballed, and that first year, it was all we expect a few £1,000s for instructors, and £89,000 later for children in need. And since I've always been supporting, so it was well, you might as well join the committee. And I was the only one at that point with a spotty suit, so it seemed the natural progression. Okay. And since my involvement's been songwriting. We've got the choir together, which I love. They're an awesome bunch, and just being part of that family, which is a national thing. It's so big that it's done wonders. And I think the whole community, all the instructors, need full credit for that. You know, yes, Louise had a slightly odd idea, but everybody got behind it, and everybody continues to in their own way. And I love that. It's as unique person by person as driving instructors are. And you know, everybody is really getting involved, and more people every year. And what I find the weirdest thing, PDIs think it's perfectly normal. They come on board and they're just part of it. And this is what driving instructors do. And yeah, for us, years on, it's still a unique experience. And you know, long may it last.
Have you got a contingency plan for this year? Are you allowed to share?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I think really what we're looking at is what's going to happen. We are probably, there you go, we're probably better prepared than the DVSA are at this moment in time.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah, we're looking at it. We're looking at it. It's just going to depend on what, you know, what the world is like, and I think we're too early to know for sure. Okay. But we've been having our war talks. You know, we start those at the beginning of the year, and you know, there will be a BLR children in need support, even if I have to do it from my front room in my spotty suit and pretend to be Terry Wogan.
Okay, I want you to take yourself now outside driver training. You know,
okay,
what interests have you got outside? Now, I know you've got a family, and let's, with no disrespect, let's dump your family because they're lovely, but you know, everyone, you know, family, you know, what's your interest? Well, my boy, my family, but my wife, blah blah blah. No, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, no. She where is she?
It's been 10 weeks. It's been 10 weeks.
Okay, so what do you do outside work, Chris? You know, what takes you away from the madness, shall we say?
I'm regularly told not enough. I love the driving instructor world, and you know, I had a run-in with Facebook, as a lot of people did, where they said, you know, you're using it for business. And I'm like, no, these are actually my friends. They're the people that I know and the people that I talk to. So yeah, outside of work's always difficult. You know, the things I'd like to get back to, I used to have a lot to do with falconry, a bird of prey centre called Eagle Heights that I worked at when I was leaving school. And not mentioning the kids, but I'd love to get the kids involved in that side of things.
Okay. Where's Eagle Heights?
I like a bit of solitude.
Where is Eagle Heights?
It's Ainsford near Sevenoaks.
Okay.
So
cool.
You know, it's down the road from me, and yeah, you haven't had enough to do with that side of my former life. Yeah, I've always been into wildlife and, you know, the nature and the world. I like that side of things. So yeah, I was brought up with, you know, with falconers around me, as soon as I could do so, and I think you learn a lot about how the world works when you look at those sorts of things.
No,
and they're interesting people as well.
I was, just before we were locked down, I went to Warwick Castle, and they've got a falconry centre there, 40 birds they've got there, and it wasn't open, but they were doing a training exercise, and that was really just, they only had 3 birds in the training, but one of them was a giant sea eagle from Russia with a huge wingspan, and it was absolutely fascinating. And of course, a peregrine falcon. I love them. I just love them. I think it's just the speed stuff. I think you know. So I can understand someone's interest and fascination with these birds, because they're just magnificent to watch. Okay, so you got practicing falconry. What else can you do?
Yeah.
Or enjoy?
I've been into a bit of magic ever since I can remember. And I do have, amongst the non-ADI friends, there's a few magicians in there. But again, I class myself as non-practicing because I've always done bits of, and I can whip out a deck of cards and I can do a trick, and I've always got one in my pocket. But yeah, I wouldn't ever say I'm good, but I'm good enough that I can enjoy it. And actually, it's mechanics. I enjoy the mechanics.
Okay. Hey, look, while we're live, I'll do a bit of magic, right? People don't often see this. Look, right, I'll get my wallet out. That's about as most as the magic I do. Yeah, so that was live on camera, real magic. Yeah, just for the audience. Okay. Chris, where are you going? What are you looking for in terms of your career development? Any super goals, or just get by, or what?
The current world has made all of us reconsider, and look at what we're doing and look at what we enjoy. And what I've identified as an ADI is I like helping people. That's the bit I like to do. I think my skill set is gathering information and simplifying it down, which has always worked well in the job. And I like to take on board that information. So, when someone needs it, you can give them the answer. So I enjoy that. I think for me, I want to grow the driving school. I want to support the instructors that are working with me, but I've been, able to help a lot of instructors over the last few weeks. And that's something I'd like to continue. So I'm going to look at ways that I can support instructors being what we know that they are, and that they are overlooked so often, and undermined so often. I'd like to be able to support that. Nothing, to do with the DVSA side of things, who I think have got a real rough time of it. We've got to throw stones somewhere, but it's difficult for them, and I appreciate that. But I just think the public, that outward facing view, that's something that I want to work on, and I will continue to do so. See what can happen.
Yeah, I think that perception, a lot of ADIs, not all, but a lot of ADIs, everything you give, if you're giving me something, it's a con. Yeah, that sort of like, what do you want? Well, actually, no, I was just going to give you something. It's free. Yes, you do have to sign up for it, because it doesn't work in this day and age without an email address and a telephone number. Sorry. But, look, I don't know. I mean, we gave away 30 webinars, one a day for a month during this lockdown, just to help people with their continued professional development. And then, you know what it's like. Some people start accusing you then of, you're trying to sell things. Well, no, well, eventually, I hope so. Yeah, because it's very important for all of us to be in business. We can't survive, and I think it's a challenge. And I really feel for ADIs at this moment in time, with no certainty about their businesses. It's a difficult period. So with that, what inspires you?
That's a really good question. And I think seeing other people and how resilient they are. I think it's resilience. Resilience is probably the thing. But it's those sparks of genius. And it can be the smallest thing. One of my colleagues, who is currently doing some work with yourselves, and she Michelle Gregory, to give her a name check.
All right, yeah.
She phoned me up and she said, can't we use cling film? And yeah, I took a moment, and she was just saying, well, just to put over the gear lever or selector, she's in also, just cling film, and then you can chuck it away. And it's that tiny little thing, but was a thought that was, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And that's, we both said about sowing the seeds. That's where these big things come from, is someone going, well, there's a simple solution. And I love that ability for the brain to be able to do that. So when I see people who've managed to achieve that, when I see people who've managed to take something really simple that we've all overlooked and then develop that into something. So if I could either support people in doing so, I've never wanted to be frontline at things particularly. I've just sometimes ended up there because other people haven't done it. And yeah, when the Sky News question I often get asked is why you, with various different faces. And I would say, I said yes. There were 10 instructors before me that said no. And, you know, I'm happy to be the one that says yes, but I'm also happy to support other people in doing so. And one that I'm doing lots of stuff with at the moment, just on a support side of things, is Vicky Ambrose, who's doing BSL, British Sign Language.
Yeah.
And she's doing brilliant stuff. Similar kind of approach to us, which is you don't need to be an expert in the whole subject. You need to know what you need to know.
Yeah.
And taking that approach to go, right, what do you need to know to be able to work with deaf people? And to coin her phrase, to close that gap. And that's, you know, if I can help some people achieve that who, as we've already covered, haven't necessarily done the things in their background that have set them up to be where they are, and bring some inspiration into that. Inspiration and resilience are probably my two go-tos at the moment.
Okay, all right, that's good. Right, so my next question, and you can have this inside or outside the industry, I don't care. You can have it over your old life. What is your proudest achievement?
Ooh, we're not allowed to mention the family. I'm just giving myself a caveat.
You know, I'm always
no, it's fine.
Proud dads, so
I'm covering my backside.
Yeah.
But yeah, my proudest achievement is probably it is what I've managed to do inside of a relatively. I'm still new. It's 12 years. You know, so inside of that, I've done a lot of stuff, and I've managed to hopefully support and help a lot of people. And from doing that, from when I was first into things, and just be able to follow those opportunities. Yeah, I think I'm proud of where I've got to, but I still see it as the beginning, and I want to see what's going to come next. And the more random it is, the happier I'll be. So we'll see.
Well, you know, it's all, you know, it's not about the final destination. It's all about the journey. You know,
totally,
absolutely.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah. What's it? The map is the territory. Is that? Yeah. We won't go down that road.
NLP pillar.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I always thought, I used to go, hang on, I couldn't get my head around that. Yeah.
I couldn't. And then one day, I was chatting with someone, and we were talking about how people see the world and how we see it differently. And they threw the quote in because they were an NLPer as well.
Yeah.
And it just fell into place. And it's one of my favourites now. But it is one of those you don't necessarily understand until it's in context. And you say it to people and they look at you as if you're mad.
Yeah.
But it's I think that's exactly it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's, you know, I think that is, and well explained. Yeah, because it's, you know, I changed it to look, you're looking through a different window. This world is the same, but your windows are different.
Yeah.
You know, that's and it's, so it's your map. You know, not somebody else's. You know, you can see it all, but it doesn't mean the same to you as what it does to me. Okay. Right, we're getting towards the end. I've got some questions for you. What kind of car do you drive? Do you drive more?
Well, on the 10th of May, I ended up with being a driving instructor with no car.
Oh.
Because I nicely timed, I have to say. The lease came to an end, and I was looking at going electric, and I now have a 2003 Ford Focus, which is literally just a runaround, so that I can get to my folks to go and use it as an office and things in the next few weeks. And yeah, so in the future, I don't know. I want to go electric.
Okay.
You know, I'm a big fan of the tech. So it will be yeah. I think next proper purchase, rather than the fill-in, will be something electric, and you know, looking at the development that's going to come with that, and how we're going to have to keep up with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, tech. I've got automatic car. Manuals are so much easier. Yeah, I mean, automatic. It's like driving a Starship Enterprise. Yeah, that's like, this is too difficult for me. 3 different modes, 8 gears going forward. That's 24 forward gears. Manual. Yeah. Get out of it. No, just give me a 6-speed.
And every car's different.
Yes. Yeah. So third gear's not third gear. No, absolutely.
No,
okay.
Not at all.
Look, if you could be anywhere in the world right now, where would you be?
Is there anywhere without COVID? I've had enough.
New Zealand's got without COVID, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, New Zealand, that would fit with my film passion of Lord of the Rings.
No, okay.
They're lovely people. The weather's decent. I'll take that. New Zealand would be lovely.
New Zealand.
Yeah. Anywhere without people around and a bit of space.
Love it.
I'm always happy.
What's the last book you read?
Oh, I don't. Can I?
Oh no, audio. I mean, last audio. Yeah.
What's his name? The guy off of the SAS program. Let me check, because I can't remember his name. Middleton. Middleton. There we go. I knew it was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
His recent books, if you haven't, they're brilliant. They're, I think, best on audiobook because he's reading them.
Okay.
And it starts with, the first one is his journey, and it's not what you expect it to be. And he's not SAS, he's SBS, but his journey through that. And then the most recent one, the Fear Bubble, that one, pupils have responded massively to that concept. So yeah, the Ant Middleton stuff, I didn't think I was gonna. I don't think he's not my natural bedfellow, shall we say?
Yeah, no, he's not mine. Yeah, well, I've got a few credits. I shall have a dig. I shall get one. Yeah. No, cool. Well done.
Yeah. Definitely worth a go. Yeah.
Yeah. Best movie or best box set in the last year?
That's difficult. That's a real challenge. I'm a big Marvel fan.
Okay.
So yeah, and you know, we've been working our way through those again. So yeah, I think it's probably something from there out of the ones that I've seen. Yeah, no, I would. It definitely wasn't Endgame because I was disappointed. Yeah. But yeah, the most recent Spider-Man. There we go.
The most recent
Spider-Man.
Okay.
I think that was
okay.
Was the one for me.
Okay. Now we have the killer question coming up. This question is asked wherever. The answer doesn't usually take very long, and we move on quite quickly. So, but it is the big question. Everyone just waits for this. Yeah, I know. Yeah. How do you think I rate as an interviewer?
I've enjoyed it.
I'll take that. I'll take that and move on.
You've been great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Right. 2 questions. Bit off the wall, but 2 questions to go. If you were an animal, which one would you want to be?
Peregrine falcon.
Cool. Good, right answer. Love it.
Easy.
Okay, and I think we might be going. And I could be wrong here, but I've already got an idea in my head. If you could choose one superhero power, what would it be and why?
I'd go for invisibility.
Okay.
I think just the opportunity to sit in the corner of the room and disappear for a bit, but be able to take in the world around you, you know, in no weird, dodgy way, would be, you know, that would be the one for me. Be able to shut off for a bit.
Yeah, the fly on the wall. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Love it, Chris. That's the end of my interview. Anything you want to add before I draw it to a close?
No, I thank you very much. I've enjoyed, and yeah, I hope people like to find out a bit about what's been going on.
Okay. So it's goodbye for me. Goodbye. And it's goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.